Dear viewer, welcome to this video. COVID-19 has made people stay indoors. Businesses have taken hit. It has become imperative for the governments to impose lockdown to save lives. In this backdrop, this video provides certain current affairs on this matter. This video also deals with certain steps taken by government and the central bank. More and more countries are gradually exiting their lockdowns. As the rate of addition to new cases of COVID-19 comes down, the United States of America and countries in Europe are taking baby steps to ease the lockdown in areas where the worst seems to be over. In India too, plans have been drawn up for a cautious return to normalcy. They are aimed at slowly restarting the economy, helping protect jobs and livelihoods, and arresting the deterioration in domestic demand and exports. We have to wait and watch the impact of easing restrictions of lockdown on the further spread of COVID-19. So the attempt now is to balance between COVID-19 and the economy to the government and the central banks. Many of the relaxations are aimed at restarting work in rural areas. But here too, implementation is the key. The forecast of a normal monsoon has lifted hopes of an increase in rural demand. But it is early days yet, and we need to monitor the progress of the rains. To understand the situation, it is better to know the guidance issued by some of the FMCG companies. Godrej Consumer Products warned that sales will decline in the high teens during the March quarter. Other companies too have cautioned about similar pressure on revenues. This may seem at odds with cues in the market for buying goods, but a few reasons are responsible. The most important is sales are happening at the retail level but not at the company level. That is from the company to the distributor. And this is what reflects in the company's books. Parts of supply chains have collapsed. Even at the retail level, the e-commerce and modern trade channels, which have been key drivers of growth in recent years, are operating at a significantly lower level. Another aspect is the focus on essential goods. At the retail level, this would mean shops selling impulse foods, example chocolates or cosmetics. These were not being allowed to be opened. Companies said they were being allowed to make soaps, sanitizers and disinfecting agents as these were considered essential to fight the spread of the virus. Dabur had informed in March that its units were making Ayurvedic medicines, hand sanitizers, hand wash and Chyawanprash, but not producing other goods in its portfolio. It also makes goods such as toothpaste, hair oils and shampoos. On Wednesday, it said that its plants will continue to be shut during the extended lockdown period except for those making the essential products. And it said that the impact on production and sales is material and will continue till the lockdown stays in the current financial year. But it is not possible to quantify the impact. So, a large chunk of FMCG industry's production has likely stopped since end March. However, the government's relaxation guidelines from April 20th could see some of these capacities come back on stream. As interstate movement of goods takes place and e-commerce resumes, supply chains will be mended. This is important because companies have centralized their manufacturing and supply chain after the goods and services tax rollout. How these relaxation guidelines are implemented will determine if production revives and to what extent. While some variable costs such as raw materials, marketing and freight may decline, wages and other fixed expenses will eat into margins. Thus, profits too will show the scars of COVID-19. The relaxations from April 20 may see a higher outflow of goods from FMCG companies and help performance recover in the second half of the June quarter. But if the focus remains on essential goods only, then a large part of the FMCG footprint will see revenues decline. The Reserve Bank of India too has chipped in, offering what amounts to very little kind of a help to the businessman. What is expected is to do more. So what are we talking here? What has RBI done? It has said that banks will be able to borrow 50,000 crores to start with from the central bank for the express purpose of on lending it to small and mid-sized NBFCs and microfinance companies. It has given another 50,000 crore to likes of NABARD and SIDBI, which again provide funding to companies that provide small business finance, housing finance and so on. Thus, RBI has tried to address the issue being faced by NBFCs and housing finance corporations, which faced difficulties in accessing funds. Second, it has cut the reverse repo rate. The interest banks get when they park funds with the central bank in its overnight borrowing window by 25 basis points. It also cut the liquidity coverage ratio, which means that banks have more money to lend. Besides, it has told banks not to distribute dividends to bolster their capital position. Third, it has told banks that they can exclude the 90-day period from 1st March to 31st May in calculating the days past due for loans and classifying bad loans. In other words, loans which were standard as on 1st March 2020 and which have been offered a moratorium shall not count as NPAs. RBI has also told banks to make a 10% additional provision on loans where a moratorium has been offered, spread over the March and June quarters, which can be adjusted against actual slippage. These are good measures, but don't go far enough. Look at the markets. The 10-year bond yield fell a mere 8 basis points to 6.362% from the previous close 6.44%. The broader market and financial sector stocks have given up some of their gains. The key problem here is not of liquidity but risk aversion. Cutting the reverse repo or the LCR won't be enough to make banks lend to risk to smaller firms, which are the most vulnerable. Of course, one can't blame banks for being risk averse or prudent. But what it means is that the RBI has to convey to them it has their back. It has to assure banks that they won't have to carry a pile of NPAs once the crisis ends and give them the confidence to lend. Moreover, the central bank should actually consider buying corporate bonds or getting the government to do so for direct support to corporate credit, like US Federal Reserve has done. That will be one way to ensure that credit flows smoothly to those who need it the most. While the liquidity support is welcome, will banks take the credit risk unless the central bank or the government provides a backstop? A liquidity tap of 50,000 crores has been opened under targeted long-term repo operations for lending to investment grade bonds, commercial paper and non-convertible debentures of NBFCs, with at least 50% of the total amount availed going to small and mid-sized NBFCs and microfinance institutions. Refinancing facilities of 50,000 crore to start with have been given to NABARD, SIDBI and NHB to enable them to meet credit needs in their respective sectors at the repo rate of 4.4%. Further, a 25 basis points reduction in the reverse repo rate in the liquidity adjustment facility from 4% to 3.75% has been done to encourage banks to lend rather than park liquidity with the RBI. Now, is it the time to turn the vicious cycle to a virtuous one? RBI is well aware of the risk aversion of the banks, with credit growth falling to 6% while the system is flooded with liquidity. As is now evident now, The COVID-19 led lockdown is resulting in a substantial output loss, and bankers have a legitimate fear that without a large dose of fiscal support that can prevent job losses and businesses from shutting down, lending indiscriminately at this stage may prove costly. It is a classic catch-22 problem, where without credit support to businesses, jobs cannot be protected and economic revival may be a distant dream. However, banks will not lend for fear that in an increasingly weak economy, most of these businesses have weak chances of survival. In order to break the vicious cycle and turn it into a virtuous one, the government needs to step in with a partial credit guarantee, especially for MSME loans, in which the government covers 80% of the credit risk. By making the banks shoulder 20%, it will improve underwriting standards and prevent misuse of the guarantee, like lending to the completely unviable. Finally, with a government guarantee, these loans will carry zero risk weights, thereby making it attractive for banks and push credit growth. Globally, countries across the world ranging from the US, UK, Japan, South Korea to Thailand have all adopted partial or full sovereign guarantee of loans to the riskier or businesses most badly hit so that economic activity can restart, and that in itself improves the credit quality of these borrowers. There are certain change in asset classifications given by RBI. In line with Basel guidelines, RBI has decided not to consider the moratorium period of 3 months, that is 1st March to 31st May 2020, within asset classification, thereby making the past due for NPA classification to 180 days. However, we feel for the highly impacted sectors such as airlines, travel and tourism, automobile and ancillary, consumer durable, retail, etc., a longer moratorium would be warranted. Finally, as a matter of prudence, loans that are remaining standard only because of the moratorium, which would have otherwise slipped to NPA, RBI has asked banks to provide 10% spread over 2 quarters of Q4 and Q1. This should not be a meaningful number at this stage. However, the key question here is while prudent provisioning is welcome, in the absence of appropriate fiscal intervention, the risk of higher provision looms not only for these loans but for several other categories as well. In the latest quarterly results from large US banks such as Citigroup, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, etc., loan loss provision took a toll on the numbers, but with a booster dose of fiscal intervention, including the SBA's Paycheck Protection Program, designed to help small businesses to protect jobs, these banks should see a provision write back at a later date. And finally, it is heartening to know that just like the US Fed back in the GFC, Global Financial Crisis days, the RBI is emphatic about keeping rates low for longer and prepared to bring down rates further should inflation soften in the coming months on the back of a good harvest and weak demand conditions. The government knows fully well what needs to be done to encourage banks to lend. It now remains to be seen how quickly it acts. Thank you for a patient hearing. In order to get more such videos, kindly subscribe this channel and click on bell button to receive new videos in real time. Please like the video in order to encourage to make more such videos.